I get asked a lot, what's the role of a treasurer in a nonprofit? And the answer is it depends. Some nonprofits are small and treasurers do it all. And some nonprofits are big and treasurers are just confirming that everything's been done. So I'm not going to cover that today. I have some material on that. I'd love to refer you to wherever you're watching this video. You can look for that. But today I want to talk about the financial tools that I think treasurers can make sure and use to be the most effective at their job. And today we're specifically going to talk about bank reconciliations. They should be reviewed and looked at every single month. And so a treasurer can sometimes serve the role of the verification or the reviewer of the bank reconciliation process. I'm going to share with you a checklist today that is the things that I think need to be looked at on a regular basis in a nonprofit. Hi, I'm Teresa Clark, and I'm a seasoned CPA with over 25 years of experience serving 501c3 organizations. I've worked external to the organizations as an auditor, and I've worked inside the nonprofit organizations as a CFO. So I bring a unique perspective to your financial journey. I hope you'll jump on my website and learn more at teresaclark.com. Okay, so this is a bank reconciliation reviewers checklist that I like to share with my clients. The first thing that a reviewer of a bank reconciliation is looking at, so just confirming the math, that the bank balance that's on the bank statement plus any outstanding deposits minus any outstanding checks or payments is equal to the balance that's in the accounting records. So that's number one. We're just confirming the math, checking the math. The second, and it's typically on the report, the bank reconciliation report, so you don't really have to do this on your own. You're just looking at that and looking at the bank statement to make sure that number's correct. Okay, next is reviewing the list of outstanding deposits. Money moves fast and banks get money clearing the bank quickly, and a lot of stuff is happening electronically. So you're looking at the list of outstanding deposits for that month to ask the question, how old are these? They should be less than 1 week old. If you're finding deposits that are more than a week old, I would start to ask some questions. We should not be seeing that. Okay, the next one is we want to review the list of outstanding payments. And again, here, they really shouldn't be very old. I'm thinking 30 days, maybe 45 days at max for checks that have been written, and less than 5 days for an electronic payment that's gone out. That's really gracious and generous. Things move fast. That shouldn't be the case. The most common problem here is a check that was written that hasn't been cashed. And you think you've paid someone, but you haven't. So this is a great thing for a reviewer to be doing and then talking to the person doing the accounting about. The next one is reviewing all deposits that did clear the bank. Here we're looking for what's the type of deposit? What's the source of it? Side note here, if you're using QuickBooks, one of the things that I really dislike about QuickBooks on both deposit and payment side is you can leave vendors off of things. It just doesn't even make sense. Or customers, I think is what they can be called on the deposit side. You're looking to say, does every transaction show its source? So for deposits, if we have money that's coming in via, a cash deposit or a bank deposit where we're actually physically going to the bank to make the deposit, then let's have a customer that reflects that. Or if there are electronic payments that are coming via a vendor platform, let's name that customer by its vendor platform so we can see the patterns of that. So here, when you're looking at all deposits that did clear the bank, you're looking for the type of deposit, the source of the deposit, and you're just looking for patterns and trends there. And you're going to review items that do not follow consistent patterns. So if something seems unusual, you should look at it. Here's an idea or an example I'm thinking of: an organization who operated a cafe. Well, the cafe typically deposited $400 every Monday after the weekend in a church's example. Well, if we see Mondays where there's no deposit, we should be finding out why there wasn't a deposit. Okay, that's a practical example there, or why you're looking at that. Next is to review all payments that were made and are going out. Again, here we're looking for vendor. Who is paid? What was the amount paid? Does that make sense? You're looking to see that payments were for approved expenses. That comes in your verification work. You can see my previous video on the treasurer tools about verifications. Next, we're making sure electronic payments have the additional support that might be needed due to the bank batching things. So what I've commonly seen is, let's say that you pay, I think a common example, I see a security officer. So maybe a church has 4 security officers that they're paying. And so on Monday after the weekend services, they calculate their hours and they send those payments electronically so that they receive them by Tuesday. Well, the bank may have, $100 as the amount that went out, when in fact it was 4 payments of 25, which are very small numbers, by the way, but keeping it simple for me today, those are not realistic numbers by any means. So you might see $100 go out, but you need to see the detail behind that. And sometimes that might even require something in addition to that amount that you see in the summary level. You may need access to seeing things that are the detail. The risk here is that maybe I pay 3 security officers and I throw in a little for myself. So you want to see that the amounts that went out, you want to see where they went. And banks just typically batch that ACH stuff in our example, $100, and you're not seeing who was paid, how many people were paid, and at what amounts inside of that total. So you want to do some work there. And then you're also just looking at payments for trends. Sometimes at that high level, you can spot double payments. You can spot, oh, we paid, the graphic company $2,500 in an ACH, but we'd also paid him $2,500 in a check. Did we pay him twice? And so really good review steps here on the payment outflow side is you might catch some double payments. So ask questions. And then the last thing here is we want to look at transfers that are made to other bank accounts. So maybe we have a primary checking account, and then we have another account where we have a savings account, just a simple example. And anytime you see a transfer go out of one account on a bank reconciliation, you're looking for where it went, and you want to go see that other statement reconciliation to see if it arrived there. I know you're thinking, well, how could that go wrong? Well, I'll give you an example. I helped start a nonprofit, and my nonprofit was small. And so I was an authorized signer on that account in the very early days. Don't recommend that long term, but I was. And when I did set up those bank accounts, we set up a couple of bank accounts for that nonprofit, and I happened to bank where one of them, at the same bank that one of the accounts was opened at. Well, in the process of setting up the nonprofit's bank account, they attached it to my personal banking information. So when I logged into my personal banking information, suddenly the nonprofit's checking account was listed in my personal banking login, which is like alarming to me because those are not my funds. That is not my account. But even further, what was weird is it would have allowed me to transfer funds from that nonprofit to my personal checking account. Well, I don't like that. I immediately made phone calls. I immediately got them to fix that. But here's an example of why you want to make sure transfers that are happening from one account to another are followed, traced, to make sure that they land and stay inside the nonprofit's assets. Well, I hope you found this information valuable and insightful. If you're hungry for more resources, subscribe here where you're watching, or check out my free resources on my website, teresaclark.com. I'm here to support you. So if you have questions, need clarification, or if you even want to discuss how my services can help your nonprofit, book a strategic consult with me on my website, teresaclark.com. I'm wishing you incredible success and impact through your nonprofit endeavors.